Well, teacher, when can we start taking tasks? Orochimaru suddenly said. Only by doing tasks can you make money, and only by having money can you do experiments. Orochimaru's thinking is very clear. There's no rush for this, I think it's almost time for today, so, let's talk tomorrow. All right. Orochimaru nodded, turned, and left. There is not much difference between one day earlier and one day later. After hearing Orochimaru's words, Tsunade who was walking in front stopped curiously. What? From what you say, you really want to do the mission? Why? Money. Are you short of money? Yes. Watching Tsunade leave, Orochimaru's words still echoed in Orochimaru's mind. I thought it was a lot, isn't it just a mere 150,000 taels? Just wait, I'll go back and get it for you. Sure enough, a wealthy family is a wealthy family. 150,000 taels, for many genin, is a huge sum of money. Even a Choyunin needs to do many dangerous missions to survive. But Tsunade didn't even say a word. Are you going to give this money to yourself? Although he has repeatedly emphasized that it is a loan, the fact that a little kid can take out so much money is enough to prove the financial strength of Senju. To be honest, borrowing money is really something Orochimaru can't do. Never thought about it. Because he has no relatives or friends in this world. What's more, Tsunade herself is just a little lowly, how can he have the nerve to speak? But when the topic between the two of them came to money, Tsunade took the initiative. Of course he would not refuse the offer of money. After all, it would save him nearly 2 months of time. And Tsunade would also be taken care of by him. In other words, this is a win-win situation, and no one will what a loss. Half an hour later, Tsunade lived up to her trust and threw a stack of banknotes in front of Orochimaru. 1,000 taels of banknotes, a total of 150. Well, 150,000. At this moment, Orochimaru felt like he was being kept as a shota. The most important thing is that he had to say thank you. Thanks. You're welcome. Anyway, with your strength, it won't take long to make this little money. Orochimaru nodded, non-committal. Although genin makes money very slowly, as long as you upgrade to chinin, you will make money much faster. With your current talent, it is only a matter of time before you want to upgrade to chinin. Farewell to Tsunade, Orochimaru began to buy experimental equipment. His home is not too small, and he lives alone now. He had cleaned it out 3 days ago and used it as a laboratory, so he was not afraid that he would have no place to put these things after buying them. Originally, an ordinary laboratory requires a lot of large instruments and equipment, and the area of an ordinary private house is definitely not enough. However, the first primary strengthening liquid is relatively simple. The main thing is that the raw materials are hard to find, and large equipment does not require much. So, his home can barely accommodate it. It is now the afternoon, people are coming and going on the street. Orochimaru slowly walks into a shop. It is full of experimental supplies. Does Konoha village sell large-scale experiments? Where is the equipment? The answer is no. Because in Konoha, only the top management of Konoha need to do experiments. And they all do research in secret. Merchants sell large experimental equipment here. There is no market at all, so naturally they don't sell it. But some commonly used consumable equipment is sold. This store is one of them, and the only one. I have to say that money is a good thing in any world. If there is no money to support Tsunade, I think it will take at least 2 months to implement this experiment. Putting these things back in big and small bags, it's already evening. But Orochimaru was completely sleepless at this time. He had rehearsed the experimental steps countless times in his mind, and he couldn't wait. All kinds of experimental equipment were placed, and he started his first experiment in his life according to the steps in his mind, the production of primary gene enhancement liquid. Originally, he thought that his theoretical knowledge should have passed the test, and the experiment should be very simple. Unfortunately, only after the real contact did he realize how naive his previous thoughts were. First, heat this herb slightly. Why is it confused? Come again. The fire is getting smaller again. It should be no problem this time. Too much material? Scientific research requires countless experiments and countless failures before the value of scientific research results can be reflected. The same is true for Orochimaru now. However, he himself is not a fuel-efficient lamp. In his perception, what is he? I almost knew the theory, so there was no reason why I couldn't figure this out. So, the long-term scientific experiment began. Time passes day by day. Orochimaru also gradually became familiar with life in Konoha village. On the second day of graduation, Hiruzen Sarutobi sent the forehead protector belonging to Konoha to the three of them. The three of them officially became genin at the age of 6. During the day, he followed Sarutobi Hiruzen on C-level and D-level missions. At the same time, he learned various combat skills from him. At night, he did experiments. In order to balance work and rest, he is also extremely strict with himself. You must go to bed at 12 p.m. and get up at 7 a.m. Now that he has become Orochimaru, he has no reason to be an otaku anymore. Hard work pays off. Half a year later, one night, 10 o'clock. Looking at the light green liquid in the test tube in his hand, Orochimaru finally smiled happily. It should be a success. System, check if it is qualified. Ding, detection starts, testing completed. Primary gene enhancement solution, purity 92%, exceeding 90% testing standards. The system's final judgment, the primary gene enhancement solution has been produced. The next technology can be unlocked. Gene extraction technology. Unlocked. Whether. Sure enough. Orochimaru let out a long breath. Unlock. The efficacy of the enhanced liquid is measured by the purity percentage. Only when the purity reaches more than 90% can the full effect be exerted. Of course, Orochimaru did not pursue 100%. Because as long as it reaches 90%, the effect will be the same. Ding, the gene extraction technique was successfully unlocked. Congratulations to the host for getting another series of experimental equipment. But this time, there weren't as many as the first time, and they were all gadgets. Orochimaru looked at it and saw that the next scientific research information is gene fusion. Gene fusion, fusing two or more genes with each other to enhance a species or get a new species. Gene fusion? Two or more genes fused to each other. Seeing this, Orochimaru's eyes narrowed slightly. This ability sounds really cool. But without obtaining the information, he couldn't evaluate the usefulness of this ability. I spent 2 hours briefly reading the information on this gene extraction technique. Well, this ability is also very interesting. It records the extraction methods of all genes. Orochimaru couldn't help but nod at exchange, genetic detector. The exchange is successful and consumes 1000 technology points. Suddenly, there was a palm-sized gadget in Orochimaru's warehouse. It looked like a small camera, but it was wireless. Orochimaru glanced at the attribute panel, and there were some changes. Host, Orochimaru. Mastered technology, primary gene enhancement fluid. Data for this stage, gene extraction technique. Plant 0/100, biology 0/100. The next stage can be unlocked, gene fusion. Remaining technology points, 4000. Gene detector, can detect any species' genetic information. Do we need to obtain the genes of 100 kinds of plants and 100 kinds of organisms to complete this technology? Orochimaru murmured, this is not difficult. 100 kinds of living things? Snakes, insects, rats, ants, birds and animals, you can make up 100 kinds at random. As for 100 kinds of plants, not to mention, there are more than 100 kinds of flowers and plants. Of course. It is too late today, he is not in the mood. Early the next morning, Orochimaru came to the training ground as scheduled. But in his mind, he still recalled the hardships of doing experiments in the past 6 months. There are many raw materials for this strengthening liquid, and they need to be decomposed or purified one by one. Or maybe it's fusion. Sometimes, even a slightly off proportion will fail. If you fail, you have to start all over again. Sometimes, a simple purification and fusion experiment takes more than 10 days. I have to say that this is a difficult task for a newbie in scientific research. But in this world, there are always more solutions than difficulties. In order not to waste raw materials, when practicing his purification and decomposition skills, he chose to use other plants or food instead. Then after you become proficient in experimental skills, you can start using raw materials. On the way, he also went to the Konoha library and bought a lot of related books to read. It took half a year to finally complete the first simple experiment. Of course, this simplicity is only for old experts and professors. For a novice like him, it doesn't feel so good. Walking on the road, Orochimaru looked at the weeds on the roadside, and his heart moved. The genetic detector was taped to the inside of the arm and hidden in the sleeve robe. Take out a small test tube, pick up a random weed, put it in, and start testing. Ding! A mountain weed specimen has been detected. Because the specimen level is too low, no energy can be obtained from fusion. Sure enough, just picking up some weeds can complete the task. Ding! A plantain specimen has been detected. Because the specimen level is too low, the fusion cannot obtain any energy. Ding! Check it out. Pick it up again, bite it again. Along the way, more than 10 kinds of plant genes were obtained. Of course, this is not the most important thing. What is important is that the latter sentence cannot obtain any energy after fusion, which seems a bit weird. System, can these plants still integrate with themselves? Yes, host. How to integrate? Please unlock the next technology. The next technology. Hearing this, Orochimaru looked at the words gene fusion. I see. Gene extraction is the collection of animal and plant specimens, and then extracting genes from these animal and plant specimens through decomposition, heating, burning, etc. And gene fusion means fusing these extracted genes together. Thinking of this, Orochimaru suddenly had a flash of inspiration in his mind. Can the genes of animals and plants be fused? Should human genes also be able to fuse? So, the cells of the first Hokage. Orochimaru couldn't wait to get this information. Hi Orochimaru, morning. Hearing the sound, Orochimaru looked up. It turned out that he had arrived at the training ground unknowingly. Tsunade was greeting Orochimaru from a distance. He had known Tsunade for a long time, and had been assigned to a training ground. They have been together for half a year, and the two of them have become very familiar. Morning. Orochimaru nodded, which was considered a response. Alas, you are in a good mood when you drive today. Good. Tsunade smiled slightly and suddenly approached Orochimaru. By the way, since the day of the graduation exam, you have been rushing back every time after the graduation exam. What is the important thing? I'll tell you this later. Orochimaru said calmly. Because these technologies are very powerful, and he is still too young now, he doesn't want to expose them yet. Orochimaru's indifferent expression made Tsunade stunned, and then his face turned slightly red. It seems that you are in a really good mood today. To be honest, Orochimaru is really good looking now, prettier than many women. With fair skin and flowing long hair, when he meets some girls of the same age when walking on the road, saying 2 words together will make them blush. Therefore, Tsunade now has a good impression of Orochimaru. In the original work, if Orochimaru hadn't been withdrawn and not interested in women, how could there have been anything like that kid Kato Dan? He and Tsunade must have cultivated a good relationship long ago. Can you give me a piece of your hair? Orochimaru suddenly said. Orochimaru's request was somewhat incomprehensible, and his answer was wrong. Why are you asking for your hair while we are chatting? Tsunade is a little confused, but this does not affect her shyness. Dry, why do you want someone else's hair? Tsunade said with a slight blush. Could it be that this guy wants to use this as a token of love? It has to be said that she already has a crush on Orochimaru, and the hair is the girl's personal belongings. So she has no choice but to think more. If it's inconvenient, forget it. You guy, you are so confident in asking others for things. Tsunade, who was a little shy at first, immediately became furious. At the same time, she reluctantly pulled off a piece of her hair here. If she hadn't known Orochimaru's character, she would have been mad at Orochimaru. This guy is a straight man of steel. Orochimaru took the hair and his voice was still calm. Thank you. No, need not. When Orochimaru thanked him, Tsunade was stunned again. It was obvious that she was not used to Orochimaru being so polite today. Orochimaru ignored him and directly put Tsunade's hair on her long head. Inside the robe. Ding, a human hair specimen has been detected. The quality of the specimen is medium. A little life energy can be obtained by fusion. Can Tsunade's cell level only be average? Orochimaru murmured to himself, only a little life energy. I thought I could get the body of an immortal. After doing experiments for so long, he also understands. If you want to obtain a complete gene, it is best to extract it from flesh and blood. The hair test is not particularly accurate. But this level will generally not change. That is, are you saying that Tsunade's genes can really only be considered average? Orochimaru thought about it carefully, and it seems that this is right. In Konoha village, the Senjo clan is indeed very strong, but there are only a few well-known ones. And when it comes to Tsunade in this generation, even her parents have no well-known achievements. Tsunade's bloodline is mediocre. Not to mention the awakened sage body, which has a huge amount of chakra. Without the yin seal, her chakra amount is not even as good as Jiraiya's. Such a civilian ninja. Therefore, there is nothing wrong with the system's test results. A little life energy? Orochimaru thought thoughtfully, and after a while he had made a decision. Save these genes that can obtain extra energy first, and wait for them to be unlocked after genetic fusion. Choose some that suit you for fusion. Hey, why are you two still here? A shout sounded from a distance. Listening to this voice, there was no doubt that it was Jiraiya's tease. They both turned their heads at the same time. Jiraiya, what's wrong? Sarutobi-sensei is busy today and can't come. Let me inform you of the disbandment. What? I have to say that Orochimaru is lucky. From the identity that traveled through time with him. One of the future 3 ninjas, Orochimaru. You know, in the ninja village, ordinary civilian ninjas are easily bullied. But Orochimaru and Jiraiya didn't. The reason is that they have a teacher, and this teacher is a disciple of the second Hokage. According to this relationship, he is the Hokage's disciple. Who dares to bully ordinary people? Even Uchihachi didn't dare to cause trouble again. Just as it happened, Orochimaru was enjoying his leisure time. After bidding farewell to the two of them, he began to collect a large number of specimens to complete his mission. Tsunade and Jiraiya didn't think much about Orochimaru's solo actions. Because Orochimaru has always been like this. Hey, Tsunade, let me show you something. After seeing Orochimaru leave, Jiraiya smiled mysteriously at Tsunade. Tsunade was confused. Thing? What? You've got a good idea. Jiraiya was full of confidence. He lightly scratched his finger with a kunai, and began to quickly form seals with his hands. The art of psychic. Bang! He slapped his hand on the ground, and circles of black runes spread quickly, followed by a wave of white smoke rose instantly. After the white smoke, a small toad appeared in the field of vision of the two of them. This is... Hey, how's it going? Am I awesome? Jiraiya crossed his arms over his chest with a proud look on his face. Now, he already has some vague thoughts about Tsunade. So, not long after he signed a contract with the Toad of MT Mayaboku, he couldn't wait to show off in front of Tsunade. Unfortunately, Tsunade, who originally thought this guy was indeed very powerful, saw Jiraya's proud look and immediately gave him a roll of his eyes. Isn't it just a psychic technique? What's so great? I can too. What? You too? Jiraiya immediately lost his composure. This technique was taught to him by the third Hokage after snatching the bell half a year ago. The third Hokage told him that to use this technique, you need to sign a contract, and it also requires a lot of chakra. The amount of chakra at that time was not enough. Therefore, in order to increase the amount of chakra, he had been practicing desperately for the past 6 months. It was not until recently that he accidentally used psychic skills to go to Mayaboka Mountain. But Tsunade? Certainly. Tsunade looked disdainful. Look at it. Same, blood, seals, white smoke. Bang! A little slug appeared next to the little toad. This is, Jiraiya was surprised. I am also speechless. I finally put on a good show, but I didn't expect others to do it too. How about it? Did I lie to you? Tsunade looked arrogant. At once, even if this is the case, then I am better than Orochimaru. You'd better save some money. Even you know the art of channeling, and Orochimaru must have known it a long time ago, but he is not as showy as you, so you don't know. This is impossible. How is it impossible? If you don't believe it, ask him. Just ask. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining the ant specimen. Ding, congratulations to the host for getting. Does the same creature only count as one specimen? After listening to the system's explanation, Orochimaru had an idea in his mind. These specimens still need to be processed and the genes extracted to complete the task. The same creature can only be counted as one task. For example, humans. No matter how many individuals you collect, cells are only counted as one task. Only animals, the same species, and different varieties can be superimposed. Of course, this does not affect Orochimaru's research. Because for him, 100 species are really not necessary. Too easy. Hey, that's... Looking at a cemetery in front of him, Orochimaru seemed familiar. After a moment, he suddenly realized. It turns out that my parents in this world are buried here? No wonder it looks familiar. Thinking of this, he turned to the village, the flower shop of the Shanzhong clan, bought a bouquet of white chrysanthemums and placed it in front of his parents' grave. Although I am no longer the Orochimaru I used to be, it is still fate, so just think of it as my filial piety to you. As he said that, Orochimaru bowed deeply towards the tombstone. In any case, these are his parents in this world, and they also left a lot of inheritance for themselves. There is nothing wrong with paying homage. Orochimaru bowed and was about to leave. But at this moment, a white object caught his eye behind the tombstone. He was a little curious, so he took 2 quick steps to the back of the stone monument and picked up the white object. What's this? Snake's skin? Or white? Hey, Orochimaru! Looking at Jiraiya running towards him, Orochimaru put away the snake skin. What's wrong? I ask you. Psychic skills. After hearing Jiraiya's explanation, Orochimaru was stunned. That's right. The 3 ninjas all have their own psychic beasts. They had been busy doing experiments before, but they forgot about this. I originally thought that it was because my fate was not yet there. Well, now it seems that these 2 people have already had it, so why don't I? Tsunade said you knew it a long time ago, but I didn't believe it, so I came to ask. Jiraiya said unconvinced. Hey, if you can use it, just use it and see. Won't? Orochimaru said bluntly. Won't? Really not? Jiraiya still doesn't believe it at this time. No need to lie to you. Haha, let me just say, I, Jiraiya-sama, learned this technique with great difficulty, and you, Orochimaru, have never been seen using it before. When Orochimaru said no, Jiraiya immediately danced with joy. It's as if my heart suddenly feels balanced. Orochimaru still didn't want to pay attention to him, shook his head, turned and left. He has no interest in Jiraiya's cuteness at all. In the current situation, only learning and getting stronger can make him happy. Well? Why are you leaving? Don't leave, let's talk to you, Jiraiya-sama again.